This looks like the work of hate-filled vandals. Please let them be watching tonight so they can see that their victim is anything but.
It's fear that's driving you. We all have fear.
Denver's mayor pledges the city will be a safe space for immigrant families. We're asking him whether that means that he's inviting people here illegally to move to the city for sanctuary, and whether President-elect Trump can really pull millions in funding if Denver chooses to ignore the law. Not as steamy as a firefighter calendar, but these Denver police officers hope to make a bigger point. A first Thanksgiving for some in Colorado, and the mystery message that can only be seen from the sky. Who is Marty? We'll find out next. Two men, two promises. President-elect Donald Trump says he will strip federal funding from cities that ignore immigration law, and he'll deport people who are in this country illegally. Denver Mayor Michael Hancock says this is a welcoming, inclusive city that will be safe even for people who are here illegally. So here is the conflict and the question. For people here illegally who live outside Denver, perhaps in areas where local leaders would welcome deportations, is Mayor Hancock telling them to come to Denver for sanctuary? We asked him that tonight.
Here's the reality. Denver's been a welcoming, inclusive city. We are the city we are today in terms of our inclusivity, in terms of our economic vibrancy, in terms of being one of the most welcoming places in the country to live. We always encourage people to follow law. That's not what we're saying here. What we say is we're not going to needlessly detain people when there's not a lawful warrant for us to detain individuals, and we're not going to needlessly break up families when it's not necessary, because ultimately that becomes an even greater burden on all of us.
Trump's campaign threat to pull federal funding from sanctuary cities is really more of a threat if he can get Congress behind him. That's what we heard today from Metro State political science professor Norman Provisor. He took us back to the old speed limit fight of the 1980s.
The federal government used its spending power to tell states that they had to adopt a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. And if you didn't, you lost some of your federal highway funds. That was challenged. It went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, Congress has the spending power, and if it's legitimate, I mean, you can't just cut somebody off completely, but can you kind of, in a sense, punish someone for not doing what you expect them to do? The answer that we have kind of on the books is yes.
Mayor Hancock told us tonight it's too early to tell if Trump is really serious about that funding threat. The mayor did say that he's not in favor of a San Francisco-style declaration that would order Denver city workers not to cooperate with federal immigration agents. Nationwide, there have been a wave of hate crime reports since the election. Some inevitably will turn out to be bogus. Boulder Daily Camera reports that the owner of a car that was spray painted there admits he actually did it himself. But clearly, there are some elements of hate that are worming their way to the surface. Denver police are investigating the vandalism of a transgender woman's SUV with swastikas and slurs today. We chose to investigate the response from the car's owner and the community, and what we uncovered was incredible.
You don't think it's really going to happen in Denver. Denver's not that kind of town. And then immediately followed up by fear and shock. When I come upon my car and see the back of it, and seeing the spray paint on it, it's an utter shock. It was very specific to the trans community, so I'm assuming that it's someone who knew of me, or someone who had been at least watching me and knew what was going on with me. So you become fearful. That helped me through. Unfortunately, I didn't see who put him there. I had left to go inside, come back out and see him there. It's an immediate boost to your spirits. It helps. It knows that people see it and they disagree with it. Not everybody is like that. I still love you. I forgive you. It's fear that's driving you. We all have fear. It's time to get over the fear, love each other. We keep fighting. We don't back down. We keep showing who we are. We keep showing the strength and the unity in numbers. We keep showing love. We love everybody. That's how you beat hate.
Talking about the election and its impacts is how we're going to move forward together, not agreeing with each other necessarily, but respecting people with opposing beliefs. And that's why next is airing an hour-long special Friday, a live town hall version of our Let's Just Talk segment, our effort to bring together Coloradans who all agree on one thing: civil discourse.
I'm a registered Democrat. I would vote against a Democrat if I believed in a different candidate. So I don't just necessarily vote because I'm a Democrat for the Democratic Party. Do you do that just because you're a Republican and this is my candidate, I'm going to go with him right or wrong?
There are going to be people that agree or disagree with me, and that's fine. That's why I love this country. We can disagree with each other.
Rather than continuing the tug of war we've got going on, we need to sit down, let's just talk, and come together.
The request I put on social media last night was, I want to know. I would like to know why you think things will be better, what it is exactly, let me know. But what I asked is that do it without insulting the other party, whichever side you're on. Do it without an insult or a name calling. And I have to say, I lost a friend.
We are a visibly divided nation, and I'm fear of people and their response into all of this, their protests and their riots and their beatings of people for just because I voted for somebody. That's what scares me.
I am happy that I was able to do this and listen. And I believe that you can't necessarily change anybody in one conversation. And I wouldn't be out here trying to change her opinion. But I'm glad that we can try to work together on our opinions.
Our next hour-long special, Let's Just Talk, airs Friday night, 6 to 7 p.m. We'll be with you as always on TV from 6 until 6:30, then continue the conversation streaming on 9news.com. The next time a prescription drug company tells you to ask your doctor about a particular drug, also consider asking that doc if he or she took money from that drug company. As we take a look at the side effects of 100 prescription drug price increases, our Chris Vanderveen has this advice.
Their complaints resonate.
It's unconscionable.
I really have no other choice.
Something needs to change.
And some wonder if even their doctors need to be more concerned.
I don't think anybody in the system is taking into account the patient's financial health.
Which brings us to the part of side effects where we get to tell you there is an easy way to tell if your doctor has a reason or two or maybe 100,000 reasons to prescribe you a particular drug. Just head to openpaymentsdata.cms.gov. That's openpaymentsdata.cms.gov. Don't worry, there's a link on our website. All you have to do is plug in your doctor's name and voila, you'll be able to see if your doctor has accepted payments from the pharmaceutical industry.
Here's why you should care. In 2013, we found 8 of the big players in pharmaceuticals handed out $64 million in change to American docs. In 2014, the giveaways hit $152 million. Last year, $178 million. Bottom line, payments to doctors nearly tripled in 3 years. So try it yourself, but be warned, you just might not like what you find.
As Chris has been saying, dollars to docs doesn't always imply some wrongdoing, but it's worth considering. And Chris has told our entire newsroom to go to that website the next time we interview a doctor about a particular drug so that we can be more transparent in our reporting. No strip search involved in this Denver police calendar, just something that officers' families wish we would remember every month of the year. Giving thanks for the chance to share Thanksgiving dinner for the first time. And it's a sign that's usually visible only if you're flying over the Front Range.
We both kind of did a double take at the computer like, am I crazy or is that actually written on the building right there?
Solving that mystery next. Denver police officers released their first ever police officer calendar today. They're not shirtless, so come on now. Eyes are up top, ladies. This is not that kind of calendar. A group of officers' wives actually compiled it. It features men and women who work for the police department, but it shows them doing what they love to do outside of work. The goal is to show the human side of officers who are often criticized en masse for the actions of just a few. Flip through that calendar and you'll even see some familiar faces who have appeared in our news stories, including Sergeant Tony Lopez, who was shot during a traffic stop last year. Those calendars are being sold on Amazon and at Denver branches of Alpine Bank, with the proceeds going to the Denver Police Foundation. Thanksgiving is the best when you're a kid. You know, you get to make the pilgrim hat out of construction paper. You can trace your hand, boom, it's a turkey. You get to eat your face off. No judgment from anybody. But there's a school in Westminster where Thanksgiving has a bit more meaning. And we visit through the lens of photojournalist Ann Herbst.
Thanksgiving comes with so many traditions.
They can't get enough corn.
I'm just getting the pumpkin pies ready.
Right now I'm warming the stuffing.
But of all those traditions, the kids' table.
Are you excited?
Has always been a favorite at Westminster's Hodgkins Elementary.
The Pilgrims came to, where did they come, boys and girls?
Maureen Barella Willie
Where did they come from?
has been cooking Thanksgiving dinner for her classes for 15 years.
The reason why we do this is because we love all of you very, very much.
This is more than a meal.
Compare and contrast.
This is a history lesson for these students.
Why do people immigrate?
Who are English language learners.
They came to America, but where did they come from? England.
That's a concept a lot of them understand.
Yep.
More than half of these 120 kids are immigrants themselves.
For many of our students, this will be their very first Thanksgiving here in the United States, and I felt that it was important for them to know our history and the traditions that we have.
My favorite food was the pumpkin muffins, the pumpkin pie and the mashed potatoes. I can't believe all these teachers did this all for us.
You were hungry, Edmundo. ¿Qué quieres? What would you like?
It's a day they'll remember.
I've actually received letters from kids that are in high school asking, do you still do the Thanksgiving? How are you guys doing?
Making the stress of cooking for a room full of kids worth it.
Un abrazo. You did a great job.
And something Mrs. Willie can even be thankful for.
I love teaching. I love my students. So much to be thankful for.
For next. This is Ann Herbst.
Beautiful, boys and girls. Thank you.
We're not going to spend a bunch of time telling you what the weather was like today. Seems pointless. But seriously now, 80 degrees. New record in Denver. Dear weather, we love you.
Dear weather, thank you for these amazing, beautiful days.
Dear weather, all right, fine. You did what you could. Tomorrow it's going to be cold, but thanks anyway.
Dear weather, thank you for being so warm.
I've never seen weather like this, so thank you, dear weather.
We call it forecasting fun. I'm meteorologist Kathy Sabin. The warm before the storm. A beautiful evening in downtown Denver after that record high they mentioned of 80 degrees. We're going to see that number cut in half the next 2 days with the arrival of a fast-moving storm tomorrow morning. That system will bring heavy snow to the northern and central mountains, a trace to an inch of wet snow on grassy surfaces for lower elevations, some beneficial rain, and the main band will come through around drive time tomorrow night. DIA may see at least a tenth of an inch of precipitation, which would make it the first official snowfall of the season, but it's the high country resorts that are going to do very well with up to 10 inches of snow at Steamboat, Aspen and Vail, Telluride, Keystone, 3 to 6 inches of snow there. The winter weather and travel advisories have gone up. We do expect a dry overnight period tonight. We do expect a dry drive for you tomorrow morning, but it's tomorrow afternoon. Fast moving band comes cruising through, and that system is in fact going to bring a mix of rain and snow around the area. And so as we take a look at the forecast for Denver for tonight, we are calling for calm and quiet conditions with our low just about 40 degrees. Tomorrow, that will be just about our high temperature with, again, a bit of a rain-snow mix in the afternoon, clearing by about this time tomorrow night. Lows will fall into the teens. Friday looks to be cold and windy, a nice weekend warm-up coming up, and temperatures will soar above average both Saturday and Sunday.
We love solving mysteries around here. This one all started with a Google Earth search. Someone spotted a message written on top of a warehouse in Broomfield, though they thought it was a prank. And they asked us to check it out. What photojournalist Ann Herbst and I found was far from a prank. It actually turned out to be a pretty beautiful story.
Sometimes the best hiding place is right in plain sight. So often we glance at something and miss the whole picture.
We got 12 stations, 10 in the air, 2 on the ground. Blue fabric right here. Slap those toes. I want to hear it. We're a circus performance company. We do aerial dance.
Bet you didn't expect that
Nice.
in a building like this.
You never know what you're gonna find around here.
You never really know what you can find.
Lines are pretty straight. Letters make sense.
Until you slow down.
Kind of did a double take at the computer like.
And look closer.
Am I crazy or is that actually written on the building right there? Just kind of figured it was some weird thing some programmer put in for one of his buddies or something like that, but.
A message on their roof that simply said, "Hi, Marty."
We talked about it, we joked about it, we showed it to the company members, and then, life just kind of went on.
Like life so often does.
Coming down.
But little did they know the folks holding the answer to their two-word mystery lived right down the street. Gail Bench is Marty's wife.
He just thought it was so cool.
She can tell you how his name became part of the Broomfield skyline.
That's right.
So can Randy Law.
Yes, that is the sign, the Hi Marty sign. Yes, it is.
Randy owns that warehouse, and he hired Marty's nephew to paint the roof.
Oh, this is 52,000 square feet.
52,000 square feet of white paint.
It took a lot of paint.
No wonder.
And a lot of time.
Boredom set in on those summer days about 12 years ago.
He asked me if he could paint a message up there. We talked about what he was going to put up there. He was thinking mom or hi mom or something like that.
But they both knew Marty was learning to fly at the airport right across the highway from that hot warehouse roof.
As I said, look, Marty, could you fly over my building, take a picture of it so I can put it on a brochure to rent it?
Marty had no idea what he was in for.
He was so excited. He's like, honey, I gotta show you something. I gotta show you something. He showed it to people all the time. Whenever he took someone out, sometimes he didn't tell them, and sometimes he did.
A billboard-sized way to give back to a guy who gave so much.
Marty was one of the best human beings there was. He was an oral surgeon. He did a lot for free. I'd guess one of the only faults that I can think of on Marty is he gave too much.
Marty's love for his family, friends, and community was never hidden.
Marty was
a
hell of a human being.
By now you know the next part of this story is not hidden either.
And we were just doing a cruise on Lake of the Ozarks, and Marty gets up and he says, I just want to tell you guys all something. He said, I just want you all to know that I have done everything I ever wanted to do in my life. I have the most wonderful, beautiful wife. I have grandchildren. If I died tomorrow, I would die the happiest man. And I got up and hit him and told him not to say that. I'm like, don't say that. And he died the next day.
Marty's friend was behind the controls when their small plane crashed.
And it was about 3 miles out of Kansas City Airport that the plane went down.
At his funeral, people were standing outside the building while the ceremony was going on. Well, but it was to show their loved Marty.
A memorial that everyone could see.
It just makes me smile.
Yet there's another that's lasted even longer.
I offered to have someone put R.I.P., rest in peace, underneath it.
I told him I thought it would just be cooler for Marty to, because I know he looks down on us. I have no doubts. I just think it's funner for him to just see the Hi Marty.
2 words most of the world may never see. But for the man who meant so much,
he was very loved, and that shows it right there.
They are right there.
So
in plain sight.
He still is very loved.
In Broomfield with photojournalist Dan Herbst, I'm Steve Steger.
Joanne Young writes, your statement that President-elect Trump is going to deport illegal immigrants is not true. Try being a journalist and report the truth. Joanne, Donald Trump, November 11, 2015. You're going to have a deportation force. You're going to do it humanely. Donald Trump, September 2016. For those here illegally, they'll have one route and only one route, to return home and apply for reentry. Joanne, I don't want this to be awkward, but we can't be together if you don't love facts. No show tomorrow night, Thursday Night Football, hour-long Let's Just Talk special on Friday. See you next time.